Call to order. Welcome to the IMU meeting on January 27th, 2025. Roll call.
Yes. Selgrade.
Present.
White.
Present.
Smith.
Yes.
Rosga.
Yes.
Voights.
Yes.
Thank you.
So we'll do public comment. I don't see anyone sitting there, but anyone wishing to speak should come to the lectern and state your name and address for the record. No one? All right, thank you. Need a first and second motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved. Second.
Any discussions related to approval of claims? Approval of minutes of the prior meetings? Resolution setting hearing for FY 25-26 budget? Resolution approving pay app number 12, turbine 8 controls replacement project. Resolution approving pay app number 13, turbine 8 controls replacement project. Roll call.
Rosga.
Yes.
Voights.
Yes.
Selgrade.
Yes.
White.
Yes.
Smith.
Yes.
Thank you.
We'll move on to electrical utility action items. Need a first and second motion to approve the resolution authorizing real estate purchase. Motions.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion?
This is we've been working on this for some time, as you are all aware. This is a resolution authorizing the purchase of 2 lots that are east of our current electric facility that's located at 1300 East Iowa. The addresses are 1301 and 1303 14th. There is a purchase price of $464,919, and in additional consideration is a transformer and some associated expenses that total $80,452.26 that we've included in there. So the net of those two is our total purchase price. Does anybody have any questions?
So it's 464 less the 80?
Plus the 80. 464 is the net amount we will purchase it for.
It's the net, yep.
The 80,000 is transformer is in addition.
And we gave that away.
Yes. We originally had a purchase price negotiated. We took that transformer off of the purchase price, lowered it down to 464,000.
We're getting a lower purchase price.
So it's just moving.
It's the same net. It's the same gross offer as we originally had. They just wanted to wrap up the transformer in there. I don't know the tax concerns or whatever else, but they're wanted to include transformer and some associated installation in there. So we did enumerate that out. That is normally a customer purchase thing, and we did reduce that off the price. So
How did you estimate the total for that? Is that just a rate that we know for those?
The cost to do that, we did an actual estimated cost of the project like we normally would.
Okay.
yeah, it's our normal due course business. Mike went and shopped for transformers. We will, as soon as we authorize this, we'll get that ordered if we haven't already. But it's otherwise, yeah, like an average or a normal cost estimation that Mike performs for any number of installations.
What's the turn time to do their transformer work?
The turnaround to get the transformer is approximately a year. We put a year in the purchase document, and once we receive it and are able to do the work, we have told them that they need to have their portion of all the electric work done in another year after that. So we'll have the equipment in a year, and then that starts the clock for another year for them to complete their inside electric work.
And refresh my memory, this is, how big are these lots we're purchasing? How many acres here?
A little over 6 acres.
Over 6, okay.
Yeah, two lots at like 3.1 acres each.
Good.
I assume, do we have our attorney review the agreement that was in the packet?
Yep. Yep, and it'll be our attorney that's working on all the legal work right now to complete this. And we do have an estimated closing date of April 1st. However, we've gone through, we're familiar with this lot, and it's not like we have any inspections or, building inspections to do. So I do anticipate this will go a little bit quicker than the time we've given ourselves. It's really down to the legal work, title, abstract opinion. And we'll take it from there.
Have we started the title work yet?
Yeah, John has our attorney John Landy has the purchase agreement, and he's working with them, abstracts and updates and all that stuff.
Anything else? All right, roll call.
Smith.
Yes.
Roscoe.
Yes.
Voight.
Yes.
Selgrave.
Yep.
White.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, we'll move on to electrical utility informational items.
Sure, turbinate emissions test, I know we talked last time, we were waiting for that, we did get the report. Everything appears that we passed, so we've now passed that on to the DNR, has that for their final review, and then once we get hopefully something back from them, there's not necessarily a timeline when we'll hear from them, but they do have the report, and everything looked good.
Do we gotta wait for that to report it to mean that we're back up and going?
No, we told me we've been up and going, so, yep, they were good, and once we knew emissions were good, we told them we were good, we felt comfortable enough to say we're good to go with it.
Good.
Then we're, like I say, we're busy with winter maintenance projects, still continues, although we are gonna get out a little bit, hopefully this week, on some outdoor projects that we can do that's not in the ground type things that we can get done with a little bit of warmer weather. And then we're busy trying to line up projects starting this spring with new development stuff that's coming through, and then existing projects on the square, trying to get all that material and things, make sure we're in order, ready to go. Other than that, it's just normal day to day.
Okay. Water utility informational items.
Yeah, not a whole lot. We were able to get all the tank cleanings done except for one. It is outdoors, so maybe the end of this week we'll get to it. It's a little nicer out. Again, just maintenance on vehicles, pumps. Continue to do meter swaps, get outdated meters changed out. Like Mike said, trying to get projects lined up for the spring that are internal for us, valves and stuff. A lot of those are in the concrete, so we can't necessarily do them when it is nice out now, but getting those lined up. Did get some updates on our filter media replacement. Media is scheduled to be delivered on the week of February 17th. And then to begin actual work on the filters is March 10th, tentative. So fall stays the way it is. Hopefully we're completed by the 1st of May and all new media. And then one last thing, I don't know if it'll be on this utility bill or next utility bill, but we had a customer inquire about our fluoride levels. We are still within all DNR regulations, but we are over the secondary contaminant level. So all that is saying is we have to put a notice out and then post it to our website. I just wanted you guys to be aware in case you get questions on it or see it on Facebook. It's out there, and that's why.
So are there remediation steps we take to bring it back down, or how does it creep up?
We've been over the secondary contaminant level for years, and always in the past it's been acceptable to have it on our consumer customer report, which is posted every year. But since there was an inquiry about it, we have to supposed to post it every 3 months. Between me and Chris, we talked, just leave it on the utility bill every month so it's there. And then hopefully with the filter media too, that will help, but no guarantees.
How often do we test it, or do we measure it
So we do a fluoride test every day.
every day?
Yep.
And Justin, correct me if I'm wrong here, but my understanding is the CDC issued new guidelines relative, I don't know when it was, but relatively recently, that said your fluoride level shouldn't be above a certain amount, and previously there wasn't a top end to that.
Yeah, so the CDC is more of a recommendation. The rules we have to follow is from the EPA, and then the DNR can, if they want more stringent rules, they can do that since they're our local government. EPA standards is 4.0, secondary is 2.0, and when we tested back in 21, we were at 2.1. We've fluxed between 2.0 and 2.2 on our readings. So December we had a 2.2 average, so it's.
So the inquiry, was it just a question of where it stood, or did they have a concern that they shared?
I'm assuming it was a concern. They reached out to the DNR.
It came through the DNR.
Yeah, if I got the letter from, or the email from the DNR.
So the fluoride level, is that something as a result of something we're doing? Is that something that naturally occurs in our water?
So our fluoride is all natural.
Okay.
There's really no way to get rid of it unless we go to an RO system. And I don't have a crystal ball, but I see that probably coming down in the future. Just with
What's
What
in
is
our
that?
house?
Explain that.
Reverse osmosis.
it's a reverse osmosis plant or system. And basically, what it does is it just strips everything out of the water. I think you're going to see more and more communities going to that, just with the EPA getting more strict on the contaminants in water.
Yeah, it does
I think
solve a number of other problems, you know,
But does
not
it
just
create new
fluoride.
ones by taking everything out?
A lot of towns, what they'll do is they'll blend it, so they'll have some of your RO water with like our normal process, so it blends it, so you get some of those contaminants, or not contaminants, but minerals and stuff back in the water.
But smaller levels is what you're saying.
Yep. And I think what you'll start seeing a lot of this with this the PFAS and PFOA forever chemicals. I think you're really going to start seeing systems transfer to that. Like I said, that we don't have any detectables of those, so that's no concern as of now. But I think just as the EPA and DNR start cracking down on more contaminants, we're going to have to.
So would it be fair to say that every community that draws from the Jordan Aquifer has a high level?
I'm not going to say every community. The farther south you get, the water's more brackish, has a few more chemicals in it to get out. That's because we're down 2,500 feet. You get up north to Ames and those places, they might be only 60 foot deep. It's
Really?
Just, the Jordan, yeah, the farther north you get, the shallower it is.
Shallow is, okay.
Yeah, the farther south you get, it's deeper, so.
But would you say they're high? That was the adjective you used, or aren't we kind of the middle of the tiers? based on
We're
what
in the
you
middle,
said?
yeah. So I'd say we're about average on fluoride. A lot of communities add fluoride just for the dental purposes of it. We sit where it's natural.
Well, I think a lot of that's coming from Kennedy Junior.
Yes.
More time too, I'm sure.
And I don't know enough about it, but it's probably something we should look into, I don't know.
I passed an article that I saw on Chris a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, it's, it's certainly the RO process is on our radar. It's not something we're ready to jump to immediately, because it does increase a lot of the demands on the system. It's energy intensive to do, rather than stuff naturally flowing. You gotta force pump it through, stringent restrictive media, and so energy costs for the plants go way up. So we talked a little bit about the generator and the sourcing that and sizing that. That is one consideration where do we size this correctly for the RO system, because it's more likely than not inevitable, whether that's 5 years or 10 years, there's probably some, judgment there, or, gradually lowering restrictions. But certainly over the 20-year, 25-year life of that generator, I think we'll see that.
Alright. Communications utility action items. Need a first and second motion to approve the resolution to approve changing the Tier 1 technical support specialist position from part-time status to full-time status. Motions?
So move.
Second.
Discussion?
Yeah, this is kind of a planned progression we've had on the radar for a while. Sub counts continue to grow. We'll probably be north of 4,300 subs here at the end of the month. So it's always been the plan to get that person from 28 hours up to 40 hours, so then they can also contribute to the on-call rotation. So it seems like we're in a spot to do that at this point. It's been budgeted in the 25 and 26 budget to do this.
So Kurt, when you priced the role at full-time, did you use the new scale that was being recommended from the salary study?
Yeah, we've had this one in at the CE1 level. It's a entry level position, so that's where we still have it. So yeah.
So it's with what you've been using as your range, not what was proposed?
We didn't look at this position, I don't think, in the salary range, but this comes in at about a $40,000 a year position. So for a customer service type position. So.
And do you intend to continue with the person that's in the part-time role to full-time?
Well, I thought I would have an internal candidate, but I was told on Friday that my internal candidate is headed out to do some other stuff, so this will be a new person, so.
Okay, so you will be posting this?
Yeah, and hopefully too, we'll get a little better response on it being a full-time position. We've struggled to get resumes and applications in on that part-time, so I think with the full-time, we'll see a little better response on that, so.
So then if he goes to the, what is it, 30,770 in FY26, then they would get whatever bump.
This
for-
is in addition to what
This is-
that
yeah.
would be in addition to what they
Addition to.
already
This
paid.
is new, just money to create the position today.
The 30,000 is?
And keep in mind, that's loaded cost, that includes benefits, that's benefits as well.
Oh, that's benefits
Yeah,
also.
Yeah, that's everything. So.
Okay.
Because it becomes benefit eligible.
Yeah,
by moving
it goes-
from
No, I
28,000.
understand that, but I didn't know that
Yeah.
benefits were included in that.
Yeah, that's everything in there, so. Yeah.
So then when the cost of living raise comes through, then they would also get that?
They would get that as well, so yeah, I mean, they would go along with that, so.
Is this something that is needed?
Yeah, it's definitely
Or is
needed.
it something
so-
you would like to have right now?
No, it's needed right now. One of the things that we struggle with right now is the on-call rotation. Right now, the engineering staff, somebody on the engineering staff picks up about 46 hours every week. That it ends up being about 600 a year, so we need to get another person into that rotation. And as it is, as you get more subscribers on, you get more calls in. I happened to be on call last weekend. I spent 8 hours in the shop between Saturday and Sunday, so it's just some weeks you spend time, so.
So would we have a cut in cost then as well, you said, if those 600 hours?
We don't have a cost, we just spread that out over more people, so I'm just not burning people out.
Kurt's
so.
free.
Yeah, that was free all weekend, so.
So then this would be out of the fiber silo then?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think this is, like I said, this has been something kind of contemplated for a while. It has been in all of our versions of the budget, and just,
Was it a line item in the budget then, as?
It's just under the salaries, we've had it in there. as
You
a
had it
full-time.
already just sitting there, but not as a particular line item, it could have been used for anything at that point.
It was lumped under the engineering salaries, so.
Okay.
So it wasn't in the current fiscal year, so they just included it in the numbers for next fiscal year. Am I correct?
And when our re-estimate in 2025, we
He's
did.
got FY
In the
25, he's got
re-estimate,
10,000 into.
And we had some extra dollars. Zane, the intern over the summer, didn't end up using all of his dollars, so we had some extra dollars there as well to throw at us, so, yeah.
Is that a possibility, working with Simpson to maybe get somebody that,
My problem with that is that what I've seen so far is I really would like to get a full-time position in there, a full-time person that's gonna stay for a while. We've done the Simpson thing, but it's always a churn, so it seems like, well, we get somebody up to speed and then they're off doing something
that's
else.
an internship?
Yeah,
kind of-
and then we're having to work around school schedules as well, which we like to do, but we really need somebody there on Mondays and Fridays, if you
I
got
didn't
class on
know
Mondays,
with their
Fridays.
graduating class, if they had candidates that.
Yeah, and we'll certainly reach out to them if we post this as a full-time position to find out, so, yeah. The Simpson kids have been good, they don't stick around, and
I get
sometimes they
that,
leave on
yeah.
summers and stuff like that, so, but, yeah.
Is this one that requires certain education level?
No, we can teach this, so. As long as
I'm
you get
just
a
curious
good
why
coach.
we're leaning towards Simpson, that I'm guessing.
Well, for
someone that-
part-time, those
for
are the
part-time,
kids that
yeah.
were looking for, part-time work, when we had a part-time position, so, yeah, no, that was the only reason, so.
Would you take a high school grad in this position?
You look
It
at
says
it,
high school grad or equivalent.
yeah.
Any combination of experience and training which provides required knowledge, skills, abilities.
Again, it just might be worth reaching out to Jeannie. I always say her name wrong, Bushby, to
Sure.
see if she's got somebody that might be a good candidate.
Yeah, we can teach anybody this, so they just need to be a self-starter, go-getter, and.
Mike's retired.
You're hired.
My thought on this is I don't disagree with your planning and the need for it. I'm just thinking about timing of adding this position in combination with the salary study that was done and the adjustments that we need to do there, and just making sure that we as a board have a complete understanding of what adjustments are gonna come out of that.
Sure.
Along with this.
Or what recommendations are gonna come out of that.
Yes, yeah.
And then the union negotiations coming up, there's a lot of
Yeah.
salary considerations right now.
But I don't have a part-time person anymore now either, so that also changed everything as of Friday, so. So if we don't do this as a full-time position, I've got to rehire it as a part-time position, because I've got to have a person in there, because otherwise I'm way short on staff, so.
And it is at a lower rate than with our engineering staff, and so, productive hours and, some of the overtime and time on those, it will decrease that overall overtime. This is an overtime eligible position and kind of waters down some of the other on-call staff that we pay hourly, so, I don't know that that's probably the best reason to consider it, but it certainly lowers our average overtime cost for the on-call hours.
So something was brought up, cost of living raises on this. Do we have you need to be in the position for a certain amount of time before those cost of living raises come into play? Such as you need to be there since, I just know a lot of places out there, it's not like, hey, I got hired the day before cost of living raises, now I get a bump at the same time. Or is this just, you're there for 2 months, congrats,
It's
that's,
almost like you should price it, including the cost of living, in my opinion. If you're gonna give a raise to the staff, and you're gonna start this person now, you should factor that in. And maybe they don't get a bump in July, if it's because we've compensated them. That'd be my opinion, rather than.
Well, the
I
cost,
wanna hear the answer to your question though. What, is there a time frame that?
So the cost of living adjustments are applied to the wage scales. So if that person comes in at CE 1.1 or whatever that is, whatever percentage gets approved applies to the scale. So we adjust the scale, and then that in turn affects the employee's hourly rate. Now, the annual review and step increase considerations, that does, you have to be here 6 months and then 12 months, and then typically it's 12-month time period.
So it's the step increase, it's the time frame. The
Yes.
cost of living is, everybody's eligible for that.
But we're also not talking a ton of money here.
No, I'm just, that's why I would almost factor it in ahead of time rather than.
And certainly the budget numbers that we did, we had
Right,
a
in the
increase
re-estimate,
factor
we
in
did,
there, yeah, so.
we did budget for a 5%
Yeah.
cost of living adjustment.
So the number you're seeing are using that for fiscal year 26, so.
So we have to decide if that's what we're gonna end up
Yeah,
using.
we just kind of slugged that in as a placeholder, but anyway. So we have accounted for that in fiscal year 26 to some degree, so.
some degree, so how much is not?
Well, it was, if it goes over 5%, we've got
Oh.
5% in there, so if it goes
Oh,
over
okay.
5, then it would be a little low.
Just
If it's
trying
under,
to
we'd be a
make
little
sure.
high, so, yeah.
You know how I am.
Yeah.
It's gonna, I think, depending on what you're trying to attract from a candidate perspective, you wanna set yourself up to be successful in drawing in the right candidates.
And I think being a full-time position will give us a much better response than the part-time, so.
And this 30,000, you say that does include benefits too?
Yes, correct, yeah.
When do you wanna have this hired by, if we,
Yeah, well, was thinking into March, but, we'll see now with, obviously, since I don't have an internal candidate, it may take a little bit longer, but, yeah. We'll see, we'll get the, one way or the other, we'll post something tomorrow, either for full-time or part-time, and we'll see how the applications come in, so. I'm fine going ahead with this, just
I am
because
too,
the need is there, but I do wanna make sure that we're thinking
Well,
longer
that-
term and what the impact is with some of these other factors that are floating out there yet.
Do we know when we'll have the full kind of recommendation from the study presented and discussed?
We, I think, got a draft that we need to okay, in the past few hours, or past day or so. We are working that in the budget. We'll talk a little bit about some more budget considerations, from my meeting. So, work on that budget continues and how we'll integrate any of those recommendations. We're kind of pricing out to see where we're at with the wholesale rate increase that we'll talk about here in a second.
so considering, my thought on this is considering that you are losing your part-time person, I think no matter what, something's gonna be happening here. I'm for, going to the full-time, but when it comes down to it, that price needs to be taken into consideration with the entire package of the union negotiations, the price studies, the potential increases for cost of living and all that stuff, when we get a full package of that to look at. Just because it's an increase in salary that is just, I think there's some other considerations you had mentioned as well, besides just those, so.
So are you saying we move ahead with this, being cognizant we have those other things coming?
Yeah.
I am as well.
Alright, well, with that, roll call.
Voice,
Yes.
Selgren,
Yes.
White,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Roscoe.
Yes.
Thank you.
Alright, communications, utility informational items.
Yeah, just quick, I think we kinda got caught up from Christmas, which was good. We had a lot of installs going on the 1st of January, just because with the holidays at the end of December, so. So we're seeing site surveys pick back up too. They kinda died off there during the holidays, but we're starting to get 5, 6, 7 a week again, so which is good to see. Currently, we're working on the Indianola School District's dark fiber loop expansion. We've got a few more weeks to work on that, but we're catching that whenever we get a chance. Got a report from Newcom on the NOFA 7 project. Sounds like the fiber's all in and they're working on the punch list right now, so hopefully here in the next week or two we'll get a sign off on that, at which point we'll go down and test fiber and we'll be ready to start splicing down there as well. So.
Kurt, I saw a Facebook post about, we're gonna be down for a little bit.
Yeah, we're gonna do some maintenance Wednesday morning, between 3 a.m. and 4 a.m. So yeah.
And what are we doing?
We're testing out the NAT router. So we've got a backup system. We're gonna kick it over to the backup system and see if it picks up where we think it should. But there's always a possibility that things might not work exactly right, so there might be a little bit bumpier. So.
Okay. Combined electric, water, and communications informational items.
All right, last week I was at Mean, with the board and committee meetings. The long story short there, we talked a lot about, the utility industry, and, you know, about 10 areas of uncertainty. The long story short on there is the board voted for a 9% increase in the cost of energy and an 11% increase in the fixed cost portion. So for us, that's a 9.8% effective increase. In our original budget, we were hoping for that or planning for that to be around 5%. You know, Chris and I are working to integrate those. We've, you know, in addition to that 9.8% effective rate increase, we also have a 17% increase on our transmission. That's after it was about 14% last year, and so that's increasing and going up. So with all of those cost factors, we probably, I know we talked at the last meeting as we looked through the budget, we're thinking we're gonna not have any rate increase on the electric side, you know, with this development and setting those rates where they're at. We probably will, and Chris and I are working on those budgeting models and that information as we speak.
You said a 9.what%, Chris?
9.8% was our effective rate. That's both the fixed cost and our average energy cost. And then a 17% on the transmission.
So what happened between now and last month?
I think the board took some perhaps overly conservative measures. There are a number of areas they're finally seeing some of the supply chain inflation hitting their actual production facilities. You know, there is some demand volatility, transmission costs, and transmission congestions really affecting the market. They're undergoing a natural gas conversion that was a EPA required natural gas conversion, and now they're accepting a little bit more of that volatility out of the natural gas market, where that coal market had been a little more consistent. The capital requirements on those generation, you know, as the units are aging, they're just progressively getting a little more expensive to maintain on a yearly basis. You know, with the volatility in the market, the means reserve requirements, there are times that they were, you know, as financial results were up and down, there were times where they weren't meeting all of their desired reserve requirements, the debt service coverage ratios. And ultimately, we're in a time of rapid change and uncertainty for a number of those factors. You know, previously the board had recommended a 7% increase, but as we went through the results, I guess this was previously last year, the board felt 4% was necessary and covered all the risk, and they were willing to accept some risk. This year, with more uncertainty, the votes for accepting more risk weren't there, and by risk I say, you know, we set these rates to try to cover the costs in general. And I know previously we've had to come up with, you know, $200,000 because results weren't what they'd expected. You know, I tend to be on the side that's a little more aggressive, that we can settle on something a little lower. And if we have to come up with the cash, you know, I don't look forward to it, but we do have reserves to tap into rather than, you know, paying for on a continuous basis. This year, the conservative nature of the board, you know, it certainly wasn't unanimous. It wasn't the direction I wanted to see. I wanted to be a little less aggressive and risk having to come up with some cash. I was okay with that. But
the majority of the people on that board are coming from smaller communities than us too, so they may not have the reserves that we do.
Yeah, and then that's a good point. And I mean, there are communities of 500. You know, it is probably one of my biggest frustrations is, you know, IMU is 11% of the total portfolio for Maine. but we got less than 2% of the vote. And so quite often, you get a couple of towns of 500 where, their staff is 3, and quite literally, they're leaving the bucket truck to come take the votes at the board. They're taking the conservative, it's not something they want to deal with or ever have to come up with the money because they might not have it, given their budgets. And so the idea that they might have to cut a $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 check scares them, where it wouldn't thrill me, but we can certainly afford it if the decision we made was not aggressive enough as far as increases.
So does that go backwards? If they're more aggressive, the rates go up, we pay more in, and they're nonprofit, so if they have more, because we would have to make up if it's less, right? If they get more, do we get a refund check?
There's been several years where that has been the case. I think the last one, maybe there was one 10 years ago that was 400,000.
There's been a couple since
I think we've had a few, because I think there was 2 years in a row where we got
I think you're right.
a rebate once.
Yeah, and so I think there's precedent and possibility for that. The other side of me would be, I would probably caution us not to spend that money if we see positive results, because there is a bit of concern on the board. They've really focused on retirement obligations, particularly in the coal. And so while I think the board was free to say this is extra money to return in the past, because of positive operating results, I think the decision this time would probably be, let's stick it away for a rainy day because we'll need it for retirement someday. It's just, I think there's certainly reason behind it. I don't know that I agree with it wholesale, but I'm but one vote out of 54.
So in the near future, you guys will be coming back then with a likely recommendation?
Yeah, I think, look, we'll try to keep you updated on email, via email. We'll see what,
This is effective when?
April 1st.
April 1.
Yeah, so the first check we write in May, so it's the usage from April 1 to April 30, and we pay that bill in the middle of May, so.
So you need your public hearing, is that the February timeframe we would do that too?
If we did any rate increase, we would approve a budget that had a rate increase implicit in it, but we wouldn't do the public hearing for any rate increases that would come out of it until the meeting after. Because there's some publication requirements that we need out of that, 10 and 20 days and stuff, so the timing wouldn't work because of publication to do both at the same
It
time.
would probably be the meeting following.
Yeah, thereabouts.
So the first meeting in March.
Yeah.
So then there'd be a proposal for electric and water increase
Yep.
at that time.
Yeah, so we had planned on water increase happening, and again, as a reminder, that was 25 cents on the base rate and 25 cents on the marginal rate. That was consistent with our past practice and trying to develop those reserves and the ability to tackle more and more mains. The electric, like I said, things were looking good. We had planned on a 5% rate increase. It surprised me at the level of increase for those number of, a lot of uncertainty. So I guess that's the other takeaway there.
And Chris, can you explain too, so if our rate increase is 9.8%, that does not convert to us having to do a 9.8% increase?
Yeah,
It's some amount less than that, right?
Yeah, correct. So this is 9.8%. Now it is on the single biggest line item we have in the electric, but that is overall to the entirety of the budget. That's we're looking at some amount much less than that, probably half or maybe slightly less than that.
Good word.
said, we're still piling through, our salary and Chris and I are working on that recommendation. Coming up, we'll keep the board updated as we, again, work this in and try to quantify what we gotta tackle on that. So keep an eye, we'll probably update you via email before, our next meeting, and, hopefully have a plan for all of that.
Regarding that, I think it would be good for us to also keep the city in the loop as to what we're looking to do, so we don't upset the apple cart, because that's happened to us.
It's
So-
already been upset.
Huh?
They're already upset.
With us?
No.
Oh, all right.
No, but I think Mike's point about just keeping them
Yeah.
informed, because we were frustrated that they didn't do that with us, so.
Yeah, certainly as we get that final draft of the results, I will definitely share that with Wade. It's good information for them to have too.
What's their current movement on city manager? Have they posted, and what's the current state?
I think at the last meeting, they talked through a little bit of timeline. Ultimately, like by the end of May, they hope to have somebody in place, or possibly early June, depending on the timing. So I don't know if there's a posting out there yet. If it's not out yet, it will be very soon.
Yeah, it was posted in the minutes that they were hoping the May timeframe to have it built.
Any other business?
Monica had put an email out on the 15th, and I apologize for not responding.
Okay.
And I think in general, your idea is good.
Okay.
The reality for me anyway, back in the day when everything came to my phone, and I could have multiple emails there, I did a really good job of keeping track of it. Now I have to grab this thing, and so I don't do it as frequently, so I think in general, the thought and the idea behind it is good. From a practical perspective, I don't know, because normally stuff gets posted like Thursday. And so normally sometime Thursday night or Friday, this week it didn't happen until today.
Yeah.
So it just kind of depends, but I think it's a good idea.
Yeah, I just think it helps keep everybody sort of, transparent. I love transparency.
So in other business, do you have an update on the project share, did we end up getting more donations this year? And then how about the committee that was set up to help distribute that? Did that go well? Can you talk a little bit about the
I'll let
process?
Alicia.
Yeah, we did get some more, it keeps trickling in here and there, just depends, a lot of one-time donations, but as far as the committee, we met one time before Christmas and we've kept up through email. They're just having a hard time giving me a name or who to help. So we're still talking about it back and forth, it's just coming up.
Are we taking applications through like the Salvation
We
Army,
don't-
or are they applying?
We don't really do an application since, so it's, basically it's, Sue Wilson from We Lift, and then there's Warren County General Assistance, and then, Aging Resources.
So they may contact you to say, we have a candidate that
Yeah,
needs help.
so they all help each other anyways, they're in contact once a month.
Okay.
And so they just have invited me, to come that one time, and then, the rest of the time we've just been through email because of the holidays and stuff, but, they haven't really like pinpointed who yet.
So we really
So-
haven't distributed any dollars.
No, it's still there.
So I was at the 100 Women
Mhm.
function a week ago, and this came up to want to know if it was a valid fund that we could recommend. And I reached out to Chris, it doesn't sound like it's a 501(c) type fund, so I said no. But I didn't know if there were other means that we might want to, if we needed the funding, or if we've had the request.
Well, Sue had asked for us just to kind of write up something about it, so she could present it a little bit better and put it out in front of people. And I know that Amanda from the chamber, Sue and Amanda and I are gonna meet sometime in February if we can make it work.
Okay.
But, I mean, yeah, it's not,
Yeah, Amanda and I
But
were the
she's
ones,
actually
she was who I
one,
was
yeah.
talking to, so that will help close that loop.
Yeah.
Okay.
Are any of these other organizations like We Lift, are they 501(c)(3)s, do we know?
I don't know that we let this come up in that grouping.
Yeah.
The reason I ask that is, if it doesn't work going straight to IMU, if it could be done as a pass-through
Right.
through
To
that
something else.
organization earmarked towards, if that's something that people wanted to do.
It's a good question, I don't know the answer to that.
There are other utilities that's how they handle it. They kind
Yeah.
of just take this as a designated, for use on this electrical purpose and pass that through a local charity. I think we're trying to be a little bit more involved in the decision. And I don't know that anybody's necessarily jumping at that, ready for a solution. Because frankly, the people that are most likely in need of it are already on LIHEAP and they're having their electric on. Where that true need comes in, and I think where we'll see I don't wanna say panic, but the, necessity of starting to get things moving and finding a person is gonna be in that April when LIHEAP gets relieved and as we, have those, here's how much it's gonna take to keep your electricity on. I think out of that, the need will come forward at that point, and, it will be easy enough to find it, based upon past history, this does happen to, I think 30, 40, 50 people or so that are on LIHEAP, but it kind of boils down to those last group of people that
And
are
they
having
would-
trouble keeping it on.
They would come directly to us then with those requests, or would they come through another, like Sue or the Hope Foundation?
Yeah, I think it'll come through like Sue or Sarah Downer or, Agent Resources, just because they're all working together. And, I mean, they help multiple, the same people.
No, it makes sense.
And they know there's, their background and what's happening. So I think that's how it would come through.
So did we get a substantial increase in what we have in years past through
Oh, yeah.
doing this? By having it in the bulletin or in the newsletter?
Mm-hmm.
Just, it's
Yep,
an
I mean, when I
awesome
started,
start.
we didn't have any. So, and we have quite a bit in there,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure I remember a project share donation in the past 15 years or so, and I bet there's 5, 6, 7, 8 of those.
Well, the thing that caught my eye was the newsletter.
Yeah.
Having it in a newsletter this year, I think made an impact. Several people asked me about it. Okay, thank you.
So speaking of community outreach and all that stuff, I know that was one thing that we were looking to really do this year. Get out there, talk to more groups, clubs, things like that. Do we have anything? I know we had a few things done prior to the holidays. As the holidays have closed out and we're moving into the second half of the year, I know we're probably also getting close to like job fairs or kids graduating high school, college, things like that. And then just the other clubs in general. Have we got anything scheduled, planned, or anything like that?
Nothing scheduled now. I do know there's a couple of dates out there for contact with the schools. I know the library's doing a touch a truck coming up in May timeframe. We're on that. We'll participate with that. And we're on all the list for like the high school, getting graduation and any kind of career events. We participated some time ago with Simpsons, but the high school is, we're making note, and we will attend those when they do get scheduled.
Anything new besides what we've already been doing? Or what we typically do?
Nothing comes to mind. I know for this year anyway. The first part of January ends up being budget focused, and those type of things tend to get scheduled as we wrap up budget and have that. That's kind of the next phase in that outreach.
All right.
Any updates as far as our solar stuff?
They are completing some facilities. I think, in general, they've slid in their schedules about 3 weeks. They're still maintaining our commercial operation date is scheduled for 7/13 of
July 13th?
Yep. And that's
Of this year?
Yeah.
25?
Yeah, 25.
To be done.
That's commercial operation, yep.
What is, commercial operation means we're doing power.
Yep.
Wow. Good luck with that.
So they, you know, they've, like I said, they've run into some bumps on some of the smaller ones. I think, you know, good news there is they're working out a lot of the.
Hopefully they learned something.
Yeah, working out a lot of the trouble spots. They've started with Colorado and completed a lot of the smaller ones in Colorado. They're kind of working their way across Nebraska, and as they as they complete them and turn them on, I know everyone's been happy thus far with the winter performance. There was a couple that were finished in December, a couple more getting finished this month. They're kind of trekking across, so.
Yeah, I'd personally be tickled with July. I keep my fingers crossed.
Size-wise, is our project quite a bit bigger than everybody else's, or are there some that are similar size?
Waverly's is obviously the closest to size. They're nearly identical, but those are the two biggest. I think there's another large one that's roughly our size in Colorado. A lot of the small ones across Nebraska, and you know, the two big ones.
So
kind of the
Waverly found land for theirs?
Yeah, I think that's all good. They're on the. I think they're scheduled to finish 2 weeks after us, so they really are kind of march across. But it is, everyone's happy, you know, when their stuff's getting turned on, it's working out like they had planned, so, when it does get done, everyone's been happy with it thus far.
Anything else? I need a first and second motion to adjourn. Motions?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call?
Yes, Celebrate.
Yes.
White,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Rosca,
Yes.
Woods.
Yep.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Thank
you.
Just a roll call.